Hey pals, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to wherever you may be, whatever time it may be. It's good to have you, as always, in the collective colloquial here. Eric McFarlane here in the Hey Pal radio studio, diving into all things Australian women's hoops, especially putting the focus this time of year on the NBL1 conferences. Now, the seasons around the land are approaching the final countdowns of the regular portion of proceedings, but there is still a lot to play out as teams want to play in the finals. They want to claim a coveted NBL1 championship, but they may also have an eye on the upcoming NBL1 Nationals. Now, eagle-eyed social media users might have already discovered its locations. So, those in the know, if you know, you know. Here's hoping yours truly will also be there at that gathering. Meanwhile, another Gangaroos triumph is in the books as the Gang take out the Azerbaijan series with our pal Marina Whittle taking out the tournament MVP. Jeez, I stumbled over Azerbaijan there. Seth Cohen made that so much more legible. The Gang are building some tremendous momentum on the way to the Commonwealth Games in the regional Victorian town of Glasgow. Very excited to see the Gang take on the Commonwealth and hopefully add to their growing medal tallies. We'll be keeping a keen eye on their progress, not only at that tournament, but also on the way to the Games next month, all the way here on Hey Pal Radio. But from a keen eye, we go to a keen Bri. On this episode, we head back to Western Australia and one of the best regions in the world in the southwest. Like passing ships in the night, our guest spent last season in Victoria before heading back to WA, whereas I've kind of gone the other way. But she's continuing to make her mark on the NBL1. And at the time of recording this interview, unfortunately, the NBL1 left a mark on her due to some in-game cluttering. But we've waited a while. Thanks for your patience. Wait no more. Our guest this week is Bri Bailey from the Southwest Slammers. Our guest this week is an absolute superstar, has taken part in many conferences across the land, has been a champion multiple times over, and sees themselves returning to the West this year in the familiar NBL1 West. Although a little bit south on the freeway, we talk to the Southwest Slammers, Bri Bailey. Bri, hey pal.
Hello, how are you going?
Doing well, thank you very much. Thanks so much for joining me. I know we've worked around our schedules a little bit here, and as luck would have it, we managed to get a recording the time that you decided to prove that basketball was not a non-contact sport. How's the eye going? How are you feeling?
Yeah, look, nice little shiner. She's coming through there. No broken sockets, so I'm chilling. But not as sore anymore. But it's a good one. It attracts attention that maybe you don't want. But definitely proves that basketball is definitely a contact sport, especially if you're the one who gets a foul or you don't. Obviously, this was my foul, unfortunately. But yeah, that's how it goes sometimes, I guess.
So what was the official call? Like, I don't know what the signal is for. Like, I know there's like a grab or an unsportsmanlike. What's the call for a face?
Apparently it was just a hands foul.
It's a hands foul.
I apparently got her before she got me. So
okay.
But I mean, I'd like to say you should see the other guy, but she's perfectly fine. So yeah, I got nothing on this one. Yeah.
Well, okay. Next time, make sure your face is set before you make a defensive act, I guess.
Definitely, yeah.
I'm glad that it's going well. And I'm glad you're back in the NBL1 and back in the NBL1 West. Obviously, a place that's very near and dear to my heart, being a transplant West Australian. I've obviously done the reverse Bri and moved to Victoria
literally.
this season. But how are things going there in Bunbury for the Slammers? How's it like to be back in the West?
It's good. I definitely miss the West. Like, I do love the West. It has a special place in my heart because obviously it was the first place I sort of took my semi-professional career, as you would say. That's where it sort of lifted off quite a bit. But yeah, definitely a bit further up. I normally was in the Perth sort of area the last 4 years. So definitely a lot more south. But I love it here. It's so chill. There's beaches everywhere. It's winter, so it sucks a little bit. So I feel like summer down here would be really cool. But yeah, beaches and stuff. And the community out here is just next level. Like, you can go to a cafe and they'll remember you like that. Like, so obviously small little tight-knit town, but like the more you give to the community out here, the more they give back to you. So I love it. Yeah.
They had a pretty busy weekend as well with the footy. I know we're not supposed to talk about other codes on this, but pretty
Oh
big
yeah, yeah.
weekend down there as well. So it would have been a pretty vibrant atmosphere. Tell us a little bit about that Bunbury community, because for those who may not be aware, might be on other parts of the country there, what makes it such a tight knit community there?
It's like family. Anything you need, you reach out and like someone's got your back. There's been like a lot of our teammates are family because there's obviously not really too much to do down here, but like we always try and get together as like a team, like men's and women's as well, to try and do stuff together. But community wise, like we may not have the biggest grandstand full of fans, but every single one of those fans dig deep for all of us. Like we could probably have 5 to 500, like our five against 500 of somebody like some other team, but those five are like will bleed and cry for us. Like it's actually amazing to feel and see.
It really is. I've been fortunate enough a couple of times when I was commentating over there. I didn't get a chance to go down to a Slammers game, but when the Slammers come up to the metro area, you do have a bit of a travelling contingent there. A lot of people do make that journey
Yes.
and really get behind you. It is such a passionate fan base on and off court. We're going to jump in the slightly way back machine, not too far back, but I want to talk
Yeah.
about. I'm very intrigued every time I get to chat to an athlete about how they get into the great game of basketball. So, how did you find basketball? How did it come to you that you started playing for the first part?
Yeah, so I was 8 to 9 years old. My uncle, who has lately in the past few months actually passed away,
Oh, I'm sorry.
unfortunately. Yeah, thank you for that. Him and his family, they played up like, so my mum's brother just played. They played basketball. They're very, very competitive. His kids played, and then we ended up living across the road from them. And they had a half court in their backyard, and
Oh,
he pretty
nice.
much was like to my mum, "Oh, she's kind of good at this. Like, maybe you should do this." And my mum at the time was looking for an indoor sport for me because obviously redhead white skin does not do well with the sun. So me playing touch footy, soccer, I was coming home burnt as anything, like tennis especially. So I gave up those sports for an indoor sport, and that's literally just how it skyrocketed. Yeah.
I do want to have a serious follow-up question to that, but I have a not so serious follow-up question. So red hair, not orange. Have we determined that?
You know what?
That's a deep
I
cut for
I
people on your Insta.
literally it is. I actually, it's funny you say that. The other day on Instagram I put up a poll because my partner is adamant. He's American, but he is adamant that it's red. He's like, "Well, why do they call it a redhead?" I was like, "But my hair is literally orange." So I call it orange. But I think I have to go with the majority sometimes, and I just say it's red just to, yeah, let it be.
I think this is more like that. Maybe again showing my age here, but a few years back they had the blue and gold dress or the white and gold dress.
Yes, the
So maybe it's
lines.
something
Yes,
like
I
that.
do
Yeah. So
remember. Yes,
so maybe your partner has a different vision of that and a different vision of your hair there.
definitely
So
something
so
like that.
so everyone can be right, I guess. But I do
Yeah.
want to quickly piggyback onto your answer there. So in terms of what your uncle saw and said, you're somewhat good at it. What do you think it was that might have been noticed, and is that something that you still take with you, in your semi-pro career now?
Just shooting. Like I have always been very little, but like I was just there shooting, and he was like, "Okay, she actually has some really nice form." Like my older brother played, and I would just go down. There was a school down the road where they would all just train as a team, and once I started playing, went down there. My uncle was the coach of that team, and he was like, "No, that she can really shoot." So he ended up being my coach through and through, like just my personal coach. So I went to like did all primary school, got into high school, and I went to first home of grade 9, and then after that had some like personal problems happen, and then dropped out of school, did homeschool. So every day I was doing my schoolwork, I'd get it done in 3 hours, and I'm like, right, when can we go to the gym? Like, and
Oh,
my
so
uncle's
good.
like, yep, I'm ready to go, and my mum was like, yeah, okay, like, so we'd be in the gym for like 2 hours a day, just shooting, shooting, shooting. So that was all the way up until I was 17, I think, and that's when I started, yeah, to take off, leave home, and yeah.
That's so awesome, and that's the benefit there. You get your work done, and then you can go and well, still put work in, but still have fun with it.
Yeah.
You mentioned down there and like over there in terms of referring to the school, but for those who may not know, where is growing up for you? Because obviously you're not a West Australian. You've come over for
No.
your work your work trip. So what was growing up? Where was that happening for you?
Rockhampton, Queensland. So tiny little, it's a little town. I'll give them that. Beef capital. So yeah, the cows, farming, everything there. Not really much to do like competitive wise. Like we've always like if you're down in the Queensland way, like even NBL1 people would know now. You got to travel pretty far to play any team really. So
Mm.
yeah, little town, but it did its justice. Yeah.
That's the NBL1 North, as it's now known, is quite a crazy, for want of a better term, league in terms of how much travel needs to be done. Because
Yeah.
I think we often forget just how big Queensland is, and obviously, there was
Yes.
Northern Territory involvement as well. But when you were first getting into the game, you were in the QBL as it was then
Yes.
known.
Yeah.
And so, you were playing for Rockhampton, if my maths is correct, which it rarely is, but around 16 or 17. So, what's that sort of like when you're sort of playing at that level and playing against some pretty high quality opposition when you're first finding your feet?
Yeah. Not to gloat myself up a bit, I started training with them at 13 and I had just turned 15 and I played my first game with them. Our import at the time, her name was CJ, Chandrea Jones. Still talk to her to this day. She's back in America, she's had a kid and everything. But she had hurt her knee and I was the next guard up. And the trip was a triple header. Like we were
Oh,
about to go on a
wow.
triple header. Yeah. And I think it's interesting now because when I came out to the West, they were like, triple header, what's that? I was like, you guys don't do that. And we
No.
still do it back in Queensland. So that's what I mean. I'm like, you guys don't know what it's like to play like, a full 60 minutes like on a weekend, which is like 6 hours sometimes. But yeah, so I went away on that and very eye opening. I think my coach asked me and I just turned, I was like, no, like just automatically just was like, no, I'm not going. Like, I'm not going on a flight without my mom, without, like, no, this is not happening. My mom turned around, I was like, yes, she will. I was like, no, I won't. So there was a bit of like a back and forth. And then my coach and the captain sat me down and was like, look, like, we've got your back. Like, you're not going there to go and play like the whole game. You're just there, you're coming off the bench, you're doing this. It's just if a guard needs a break, like, so started very young, but I think yeah, I definitely didn't have the body type I had now. I was a skinny little tiny redhead running around. So yeah, I did get bashed up quite a bit back then, even just like now. Definitely got bashed up back then, but I think that's why I play the way I play now because back then, like I knew I was going to get roughed up and like thrown around. So like now I know I can either stand my ground or I can go and take a charge. Like just little things like that. And I think being a little person, I sort of at that age had to find ways around the game because everyone was so much bigger, like not just taller but like stronger, like they were grown women and I was just a tiny child still. So adapting to that was hard and also I would say the mental side of it, so just the smarts of the game like was very different, like going from juniors to playing a senior game with professionals. They still had the two imports back then, so I'm getting on the court and I'm like, there's no way in heck I'm defending that person. Like I was like to my coach, like, you're tripping, like I want to stay on the bench, like nope. But now by the end of that season, yeah, I think I was on first five a few games. Like I worked my way up, and like they really saw the potential in me. So yeah, it's very interesting, very different. But the North is very rough. Yeah,
Do you think with that sort of, I think you've spoken about how it's affected your game now, but do you think there was like a moment where, can you recall something where there was a penny dropped during that season, or you just gradually got more comfortable with the surrounding and then the notion of playing against those bigger bodies?
yeah. I think the penny dropping really was my teammates and like my coach and my captain, like really just saying like, we've got you, like this is it. So I think like still to this day, when like your captains, your teammates, your coaches literally have the best interest in you and confidence in you to go out and do whatever, like go out and make 10 mistakes, it's okay. But like, you're not going to make those 10 mistakes again. So I think the confidence factor is a big thing. Um, but yeah, that was definitely the penny dropping. Like I was young and I was like, I don't want to go on and make this mistake and then we lose, or I don't want to go on make three mistakes in a row and then freak out, be like as a young kid and cry or something and be embarrassed. But my coach was like, we want you to make those mistakes. Like that's what's gonna make you better for the next time. Like next time maybe you'll pass fake instead of just trying to throw it and look where you're throwing it. So definitely like it seems like something very small, but it's definitely very big to a player. Yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned that, and this is why I send the dot points out and then completely throw it out the window when we start talking. Because organically, you've spoken about sort of your game style there, and being a
Yeah.
shooter, and I often think that being a quote unquote volume shooter, someone who's confident in putting up the shot, you've almost got to make peace with the fact that sometimes there'll be moments in the game, or sometimes even a whole game where it's not your game, and
Yeah.
making peace with still putting up that shot. Do you think that's carried over from that? And is that a philosophy you subscribe to as a shooter?
Yeah, I would say this season, like, I mean, I can use one of my games. We literally just played it in our doubleheader. We played against Hawks, and I was not having the best shooting game. My coach was like, "Bri, I need you out there to shoot." I basically was like, "This is my teammate's hitting right now. Like, she's got it." And he's like, "No, I didn't say her. I need you to shoot." And that's literally all I needed to go out and keep going. Like, and I think sometimes we're our own demons, getting in our head and doing things like that. So I think, yeah, as I said before, when you have a coach that has so much in confidence in you, when you're down in the dumps, like, and they can rip you out of it like this, like it's kind of life changing. But yeah, like my uncle was like, the ball's not always going to see the bottom of the rim, and you're going to be frustrated and annoyed. But if you don't keep shooting, you're not going to see the next one go through. So I think that's like one thing I really try to keep close to heart, because obviously, he's up there doing his thing. He's probably watching me, so he's probably getting at me every time I catch and I don't shoot. So yeah.
The probably the bad thing is he's probably got some notebooks ready for you a
Oh
long,
yeah,
long time
yeah.
from now
There's
when that
definitely,
time
I
comes.
know after, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It's gonna be yeah,
yeah.
a
On
big
the 4th of
chat, I'm sure.
June,
Yeah,
2026, I was like,
it'll be
what? That was
that, and he'll expect me
eras
to
ago.
remember. Yeah, he'll be like,
um,
I've seen this. Yeah.
um, you spent some time playing some rep basketball as well for Queensland. And I was just curious to sort of, what you learned about yourself and your game during that time and sort of how that sort of, we get to that proverbial fork in the road when we think about what we're going to do with basketball and what we're going to do career wise. How has that shaped your way and your approach to, you say semi-professional. I still think it's professional, but that might be
I still
semantics.
think so too. You're right, but yeah.
So how did that sort of shape you then your path in life, as it were, as a basketballer?
Yeah, rep. Basically, when I was growing up, I feel like I'm ancient now, but when I was growing up, um, it was you made the first team and that was it. There was no second team, third team, fourth, like divisions, like anything like that. So it was pretty cutthroat. But I think that's what made it so much more competitive, because if you didn't make that first team, you were spending that whole like rest of that year busting your butt to make that team. I was very grateful that every year I made it. I probably was a little pest sometimes and had like a chip on my shoulder towards like I would say top age 16s to bottom 18s, top 18s. Once I like, was playing QBL back then. So I was like, like it's fine. My uncle always humbled me. So there's that one. Um, yeah, he always shot me back down, which was a good thing though. But yeah, the rep scene out there, it's very different. We, instead of playing like every weekend, so obviously playing in Melbourne, they have their VJBL on Friday nights, so they're always traveling somewhere on a Friday night to play. Out here in the West, they have their wobble days is Sunday,
Yeah.
so they're playing every week as well. Whereas back in Queensland, we don't do that, and we can't do that because of how far away we are. So we have things. I think they're called CQJBCs now. Big word, but it's basically Central Junior Basketball Program League or something. And we go away for a whole weekend, and you play like 4 to 6 games in that weekend. So you sometimes travel down with your team, sometimes with your family, depending where you're going. And then you play like maybe 2 or 3 games on the Saturday, 2 or 3 on the Sunday, and then you're trekking it off back home, getting ready for school on Monday. So you do have some pretty big weekends, but I think that sort of shapes us for the end of the season when we compete for like who's the best in Queensland. So our whole week state titles. But yeah, very different out here. Like I find this stuff cool, but I definitely wouldn't want to be traveling on like a Friday or a Sunday to one of our, you know, teams. Like if we're going to go play Townsville, that's 10 hours away from
Yep.
Rockhampton. So we weren't going to get in the car, play a game for 10 hours, like, you know, and come back. So yeah, and I guess that was the same with, you know, state camps. Like we were off to Townsville nearly every second weekend, especially if we made the team. So that was a lot of money out of the pocket. But yeah, you're up there every 2 weeks training against everybody. And most of
Yep.
the girls are from Townsville, so that's where the camps ended up being, which was
Yep.
sucky, but it is what it is. But yeah,
That sounds like a little bit of like internal Queensland bias there, the little,
that's what
Townsville,
I
Rockhampton
think so
stuff.
too. Yeah,
Yeah, because
yeah,
having visited Townsville for the first time this year, I don't mind Townsville, but I'm not gonna cross any picket lines here and upset anyone. But there is a lot of talent, so I'm glad that there has been some more structure. Obviously, I won't cop the ancient term, but in the last decade that there has been some structural changes there because we know
yeah,
that there's a shed load of basketball talent coming out of Queensland, especially the
yeah.
more regional areas. I mean, you look at even just the Opal squad that was announced today, and there I did it, Bri. I dated the podcast, but
There it is.
there it is. But you look at that, and there's some, not only just players that played up in Townsville, but some genuine Queensland talent in that. So
Yeah,
it's obviously proving fruitful that there's more pathways and more structure around that.
yeah,
But the QBL, as it was at the time, you won 2 championships pretty early into your career there. I think it
yes,
was
yeah,
2015, 2016. Again, my maths
yeah.
hasn't proven too correctly so far. But tell us a bit about that. A few years in, you said that you started there from a young age to have that sort of success early with that sort of program. Do you have fond memories of that time?
Oh, definitely, yeah. Being the young one, you know, obviously when they won, I wasn't drinking. I was sitting there with my lemonade and my Coke. But you know, I think it's more seeing how much like heart and determination comes into it. So I'm gonna drop it again. Back in Queensland, we do best out of three. So when I
Yeah,
came out to WA and the grand final was one game, I said, huh? I was like, this is crazy. Like, you guys aren't going to fight for it. Like, you know, whereas like back in Queensland, you can win on the Friday, lose on the Saturday, and you've got to battle it out on Sunday. And like, you
yeah,
might have played 40 minutes, and you got another 40 to back up. Like, you know, so I think the heart and grit definitely carries over. Like I've still got it within me. Like I haven't changed wherever I've played. Like I'm just still the same person. But yeah, like I think it shapes you when you're a lot younger because you see what it takes. And so I think every team I've tried to be in, I've sort of tried to either like be a leader or be someone for like the younger girls to look up to. So guards, like I've always tried to take a lot of them under my wing and be like, look, like if you're going to play like this, like you're not going to get to the level you want to. Like you have to figure out now where you want to go, what you want to do. Like that's college, WNBL, like try to be a DP, like things like that. I think I actually had a very good mentor. Her name was Alex Brady. So she was our captain
yeah.
during those, yeah, during those things. She spent some time in WNBL in Townsville, I believe, as well. So she helped me become, I guess, the guard that I am today, more so headstrong than anything, which is a good thing because I know how to fight my own battles. But yeah, seeing that stuff at a young age, yeah, really shapes you like furthermore because I think now because I've done that, not everything's about winning for me. Especially now as I feel old. I think my next thing is to try and help that next sort of generation come through and just be confident. Like, especially being out here in Bunbury, they're young and they've always been so young, and I think they
Mm,
will be for like quite a while. But I think the best thing is you can pick so much talent out of there and just be like, hey, and work with one kid each session and like build them up. Like we have a few girls now that are, you know, a few that are in college, and a few that are aspiring to go to college, which I think is a big thing, especially from like
mm.
a small town. And they've got what it takes. Like they've got the heart and the grit, which is why I think I like it here because it's kind of like Queensland. Like you don't have much, but you're going to go and fight for it. But yeah,
I'm so glad you mentioned that because, maybe 20 years ago, let's say, probably didn't have, and probably sooner than that, but there weren't those opportunities if you were in a smaller town or regional town. But I guess that's one of the benefits here as I put NBL1 cap on that, you know, just the ability and the exposure of the league, that
Yeah.
people from all around the globe can be watching your games, and it is not necessarily easier to be discovered, but there's more opportunity that you will be discovered, so that
Yeah.
those goals are realistic for people in smaller regional towns. So I'm so glad that that's sort of the experience you're sharing, and saying that is
Yeah.
very much like a realistic pathway, and there's probably some tangible things you need to do to get to that point for
Yeah.
sure as well. Speaking of getting to that point, and let's talk about moving to WA. Well, not moving, but as timing would have it, I think your first season in Perth and WA, well, technically both, was 2020, which was an
Yeah.
interesting year to say the least. So
Yeah.
before the world sort of stopped for a little while, and I've got to be very careful how I say that in Victoria now, because it was a lot better in
Yeah.
WA, quite frankly. But
Yes.
before the world stopped, what went into that decision? I know that you spent a couple of years away from Rockhampton as well, but
Yeah.
to actually move states and sort of take your basketball career on the road, what went into that decision to link up with the Redbacks?
It was more, I had like a friend that was already like out here who knew about like quite a few of the teams out here. He was a lot older, but he had done like his basketball stuff and everything through and through, like played pretty much everywhere as well. And he was like, hey, like I know Perth is always looking for guards. Like, and if you want to, take your basketball to the next level, this might be, you know, your next step. And I was like, I don't know. I started kind of like Queensland, kind of like being near home. But the place I was playing at Gladstone, like I think that second year was sort of just one and done. Like it was a bit
Yeah,
hard. So I think after that, I was like, you know what? No, I probably do need something new. And so yeah, I packed some bags up, went down there, trained. I think for 2 weeks. Met the coach and stuff. He was like, "Yep, like I'm interested. Like you can jump on board." So I went home, chilled with my family and stuff, and was like, right, like I've got 3 weeks. I'm packing my bags, and then I'm gone. Like I'm over there.
yeah,
So yeah, I spent all my after I did that, came over. Obviously COVID happened, so that was very interesting. But then we went into the West Coast Classic season, I believe
yep,
that's what it was
yeah.
called. Yeah. And it was good. Like I was under coach Craig Allen, who I still respect to this day. Like I played under him again at East Perth. Like that's how much I admire him as a coach. Um, but yeah, played under Craig. Really great season. Made friends that like I'm still friends with now. Like a lot of us, like JJ, for instance, like she
Yep.
plays for Hawks now. Like so still catching up with like those sort of girls. But yeah, I was a freshie when I first came out here. Yeah.
So, I mean, when you talk about that movement there, you mentioned there you were there for a couple of weeks. So, did you almost have to try out first and foremost? It wasn't sort of a fait accompli that you were going to get that contract there.
Yeah. Yeah, so it was basically he looked at a lot of my film and stuff that I had over the past 2 years. We got in contact with him and then had a meeting, and we were like, look, like I really want to play here. Like this is one of the teams that I like the way that you guys play. Like I think I like the coaching and like the way that you support the girls. And I was like, I think that's one thing that I am really for, especially like if there's a male coach, like how much support we can get. Um, and yeah, once I saw like the way they played his transition, that's the way I like playing. I sort of just, yeah, I was like, hey, like this is where I want to play. And I had some plans like to meet up with other teams afterwards. But by the end of that meeting, Craig's like, yeah, shook my hand and he's like, done. Like, we want you here. And I was
Nice.
like, oh, okay, cool. So yeah, I called my mum and I was like, so I've got a spot on this team. I was like, I'm going to come home in a bit, but I'm going to be home for a tiny bit, grab the rest of my luggage, and I'm off. Like,
Yeah.
so yeah, that was pretty much that process. Yeah.
So, did you stay over in WA then with all of the madness that happened, or were you able to sort of? I know Queensland was a little bit different as well. Like the rest of the country was sort of different how they approached those couple of years. Did you get home much, or did you pretty much become a Western Australian?
Yeah, I pretty much had to adapt to being in WA. I remember I was in the house and I went out to the grocery store actually, and I ended up calling my mum and I was like, Mum, these people are fighting over toilet paper, like literally screaming, shouting. My mum turned and she goes, just go to the tissue aisle, grab a box of tissues and it'll do you. And I was like, what? And I was like, okay, I'm out of here. Like, so that was it was crazy, but I think I'm very grateful that I was in WA because everything got lifted so soon. Like everything was
Yes.
done. But yeah, like I was actually about to book my flight home, and then I think it was Mark McGowan that was the.
Yes. Yep.
But yeah, he was like, no, borders are shut, and I was like, well, never mind. I was like, I'm not coming anywhere. I'm not going nowhere. I was like, cool. So yeah, but
Yeah.
I am grateful that I was stuck out here because I think WA handled it the best, obviously, out of everywhere else, which I'm yeah very thankful for. Yeah.
So what is it about WA that in general that you sort of like, I mean, sometimes it can be just the opportunities that come up,
Yeah.
and the right basketball club and the right fit there. You mentioned obviously East Perth in 2024 where you're able to link up with Coach Allen again, but is there a style or is it just a lifestyle that, if you are going to be away from home that WA best suits?
Um, I don't really know what it is. I think maybe because like I've actually been asked this question and I still can't give like a direct answer. It's very interesting, but I think because it was the first place I went after just like getting out. Like I
Yeah.
went out and then I loved it. Like I'm a very as much as I'm a redhead, I'm a very beachy person. I love being outdoors, adventuring. So like I was always trying to climb waterfalls. I was always going to Scarborough. I was doing things like that. And I think just the friends I've made out here in the teams that I've been in are literally lifelong friends. Like even when I was in Melbourne, like I'm still talking to them every week. And even though I'm 2 hours away, I'm still seeing them. So
Yeah.
I think that's probably a big pull because most of them have become like some of my best friends. Um, Not that I don't have friends back home, but I definitely like I love my friends. Yeah, I love my friends out here. A lot of them are very adventurous as well, and I just think there's always something to do. Like there's always a new beach to try, a new cafe, a new like everything. So yeah, I love it. Yeah, I don't know what it is. The basketball's cool too. I'll give it that. Yeah.
So, if there's any unsigned players out there in that crazy WNBL free agency window going on, there's a recruiting pitch for the Perth Lynx, but that's a whole other crazy thing that we won't
Yeah.
we won't show my bias too much about. One thing that was probably a little bit further than 2 hours away was playing in Ireland. How's that come about, and what's the
Yeah.
Irish league like?
Yeah, so overseas, the places I've played, very different. So obviously out here, you train twice a week with the team, maybe three times, like depending. Like I'm not sure how every team does it.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're overseas, you're training, like that's just your job, your life. So you forget about socializing, forget about, studying, because I was studying at the time too, and I was struggling. I was like,
Mm.
I'm not sleeping, and more so because the time difference was like 16 hours. So I'm trying to go to doing school while I should be sleeping. So it was very interesting, but you're training like 2 to 3 times a day. Your weights, you've got to get in for your own workouts, then you're in the middle, like a lot of us were, studying or doing something like that as well. So I think a few of my teammates were working, so they had to fit in that with their work as well. So yeah, overseas is like a tough gig, but if you really like live and breathe basketball, like it's so beneficial. Like to know the difference in playing styles over there. Like overseas is definitely a lot rougher, but you have a lot of players that are fighting for everything. So there's so much more to do out there. Basketball wise, like they always have something on. There's so many teams. They have university teams, like which I think is a big thing for like a lot of people. If they're finished studying and they want to do their masters, a lot of teams will take you on and let you play because
Okay.
they're a university, so you can study your
Mm.
masters and stuff. Not that I did that, but like I think there's definitely like big windows that can open out there. And it's just a very different style play of basketball. I do love the overseas life. It is cool. Like I played like a bit in London, like a comp in London, while I was
Mm.
out there, and it was really cool. Very different, but it was really cool. I just think like the winter's just not for me. I can't do the winter to winter.
Yeah.
That stuff is, yeah, it's pretty hectic, especially when you're in the snow. It's not fun. Yeah,
That was gonna be a follow up question there, but that makes perfect sense given your
yeah,
background and given where you play most of your basketball. Do you feel just it's curious listening to that because you're obviously flown in to play that role and have that as your job as the international the import player
yeah.
as it were. Do you feel that you have to take on a bit more responsibility and potentially pressure because of that trust that's been put in you?
Yeah, definitely. I think like I obviously play a big like most of the teams I've been in, I've played a big role in Australia, but and it sounds bad, but I don't think of it as like my job because when I'm in Australia, obviously, very controversial subject, but we just don't get paid as much as men. And that's just, it is what
Yeah.
it is.
Oh, that's
Um,
fact. Yeah, that's
it's,
just fact.
it's,
That's not controversial.
and it's hard. So, I mean, and there's some men that I agree they probably don't get paid as much either, and they have to go and get a job as well. But yeah, while I'm out here,
Mm.
I normally try and get like a part-time job. So at the moment, like I just work at the gym. Um, but it keeps me busy, keeps me motivated, and things like that. Um, but yeah, because overseas, that's all it is. Like that's what you've got. Like you don't really have time to work a job, and if you do, you have to work a job that will, I guess, give you the time off to go and train and do this and this and this.
Mm.
Um, but definitely being an import, I think, you have to be a leader and hold your head the whole time. Like there's no like, oh, I'm going to be sooky about this or I'm going to, like whine about that. Like you have to really step up and like stay there. So like if you're going to walk the walk, you got to talk the talk. Like it's really that deep, and like especially out there, the reffing's not the same. It's a lot rougher. Like you're not going to
Mm.
get calls, so you sort of just have to get up and keep putting along. Like the coaches, like you go into things with language barriers as well, so that stuff's also hard when you need a translator and things. So it is very hard, but it's so worth it in the end. But yeah, you definitely take on like, I feel like a bit more pressure because you're the one that everyone else is going to lean on. Like, because I guess when the Americans come out here, we're like, okay, cool. Like, we're getting this player, and like she can do this and she can do this. Like, whereas I think going out there as an Australian, because I think I was the only Australian import in that league at that point. The rest were all American.
Yeah.
So yeah, very, very different. Like they thought I was Irish, which I can tell why, obviously. But I was like, I promise there's not even an ounce in me, I swear. Um, but yeah, like definitely a bigger role and like a lot more responsibility because, as I said, like they still have young players as well that are looking up to us. And if we act a fool, they're going to act a fool and they're going to think it's okay. So yeah, definitely a bit more pressure, and you definitely got to perform every game. So that's what they're paying for, not paying for you for.
For sure. And I got to put my hand up there as well. When I saw that you played in Ireland, I did try and find out. It's like, is there any connection there? Or just sort
Yeah,
of, I copped to that as well there. That I was like, wait a minute, what is that just happenstance? But it's just intriguing you mentioned, and again, I want to reiterate, I don't think it's controversial. I think you're absolutely right. There is still a pay disparity, and there's still a lot of
yeah,
work to be done in that thing, which could be another hour conversation. But I am mindful of your time, but I won't ever stand here and disagree with that with you. But I'm just curious about the balance then. About you mentioned having to find some part-time work when you find some opportunities and things like
yeah,
that. But even sort of like the between seasons, how do you find that I guess lifestyle balance in terms of balancing, whether it was study, your basketball career, and sort of having, for want of a better term, some normality, I guess, to your structure.
yeah. It's very different. So the seasons I didn't go overseas, most of the times it's annoying, but I was injured. So last
Yep.
season I was talking to a place and I was going to go play in Germany. And then I found out at the start of the season, well, before my season even started last season, I went over on my ankle, thought it was just a sprain. The whole season I'm playing on it, and I'm like, something's wrong. Like it was just hurting all the time. Found out I'd broken my foot, and I was like, oh. And the reason
Oof.
why I found out is because I think it was third last game of the season. I'd gone over in one of my games and then taken my sock off at the end of the game, and my foot was just black. And I was like, okay, something's wrong.
Jeez. Yeah.
Went to the hospital, got a scan. They were like, you broke your foot. I was like, oh, you're kidding. Like, and they're like, but you also have like a break that's knitting. And I was like, oh, I know what that is. Yeah. So I was in a boot for 2.5 months because it just wasn't healing. So I didn't end up going to Germany, which sucked. That's business. Like they were like, oh, well, you're fired. And I was like, sweet, like cool. Like, so I'm on to the next thing. So
Yeah.
yeah, I went home, and that was probably the first time I've gone home for longer than a weekend in 5 or 6 years. Like it's
Oh
so
wow.
it was, I think, a blessing in disguise. Like I think God really knew I needed some time, some reset to go home. So yeah, I was home that whole time. I ended up getting a part-time job there at a gym as well. So I did that, and then just basketball really. But when I was studying, I think it was a lot harder, just time navigation. Like, you're up, you're training in the morning, like, especially if you're off season, you're up, you're training in the morning. You might come home, like, eat, study, do something. You might then go off to your part-time job and then come back and try and get another workout in a lift or something like that. So I think sometimes the off season is a lot more busier than in season, which is
Yeah.
sounds crazy, but you definitely want to make sure your body's ready and rearing to go when your season starts, because once it starts, like, you're in it. Like, there's no,
Yeah.
you just foot on the pedal and you can't take it off. Yeah.
And the crazy thing is, well, with so much basketball being played around the world, you never know when that opportunity is going to come as well.
Oh,
So,
yeah. Never. Yeah.
there's the cliche of just always being ready.
Yeah.
If you're always ready, you don't have to get ready. So,
Exactly. Stay ready so you don't got to get ready. Yeah.
yeah, perfect. I want to now fly back to WA, although I won't say that too loud. My dad might get excited, but I want to get back to your time at the moment with the Slammers. And I think you've already talked about this a little bit from the first part of the question that I'm going to ask you here, but in terms of the squad and sort of how that
Yeah.
goes. I know, and I'm not saying this in a condescending way. Sometimes the win-loss column can be tougher playing for the Slammers for many of the reasons you sort of already touched upon. So first part of this is in terms of goal setting. What does the last part of the second half of this season look like for you? What does a successful season look like for you here at the Slammers and the squad?
Yeah. So, I mean, I've had the question a million times, like, why do you even sign there? Like, because, I've obviously played against them before as well. And I said, a big thing was, which is very discrediting, but like a lot of things were when people would come down to play the Slammers, they're like, oh, yes, like a weekend away, like we can do this. And then they wouldn't even worry about the game. And I said, I said to Coach Joe, like, my main thing is if I play here, like, it's competitive. Like, you're not coming down here to spank us by 60 or 70 each time. And it's not like we're not going to have games like that. But I said, I just want heart and competitiveness. Like, if we can, put a few wins on the board, like, that's great. Like, it's one step better than last year, but it's more like getting the community behind the game, especially the women, like trying to get them to come out, because obviously they've had less wins than the men, like over a decent amount of time. But also I think like showing the younger girls in Bunbury, like, that it's okay to lose, you can still get better. Like, just trying to develop the younger ones. Because like already now, like, we'll finish a game and there's some under 14 rep girls. They're like, oh my gosh, you played so good. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, that's probably the most trash I've ever played, but they don't see that. Like, so you sort of have to come out with the mindset of like, they don't normally see this sort of stuff. And I mean, I think last year they said they'd only won maybe one or two games, and we've already won three. And there's definitely the games that, we've let go, which I think now heading into the back end of the season, like, we're really trying to focus on defense. Like, that's our main thing at the moment, where I think we're getting picked apart a little bit. Definitely in like just people running the lanes, and we're just not ready to get back. Like, so I think it's just a little bit of like an effort, I'd say an effort thing, and like just a little bit of smarts that, like, when we run back on trends, you don't have an individual player. You have to just mark who's back there until someone gets back and you're like, hey, I've got two, and like this and that. So I think just the mental side of things, like, we've sort of got to improve on a bit, but just, we've had some games where I think when we first versed Mandra and we versed Willow, like, we're up by maybe 15-20, and then we sort of just lose it. And it's like we get comfortable or something. So I think now, like, we're like, no, like, when our foot is on the pedal, like, it's on the pedal and it's not coming off. And that's, when the juniors come on, it's us like on the bench still cheering and clapping, because like we've had a few injuries this season, a few people that are now out. So like big pieces as well. So it kind of sucks. But like obviously, teams go through that. It just sucks that we're at that moment now, because we were just starting to gel together. But I think, on the back end, we're going to try and put a few more wins on the board, and more so just, I think, develop for the next season. So whatever comes for next season, whoever comes back, like, obviously a lot of the juniors are still going to be around here because they live here, but just sort of paving that way that, when they come in, like, whoever else comes in, they're ready. They're ready to go. They're ready to, put in effort, know this, know that, and things like that. So I think the developmental side of things, is, I think, another big one for us as well, as trying to put some wins on the board. Yeah.
I'm really glad to hear you say that because that makes a lot of sense. And I'm fortunate I call Ballarat games here now in the south, and the men's program's probably going through something like that at the moment from
Yeah,
a litany of reasons. But the thing we always talk about is getting that synergy together, learning from it, developing it, and
yeah,
I think it's always a case as well. Like no matter how many, let's say there's 20 teams in a league, 19 teams aren't going to win the championship. So
yeah,
there's other markers to what that success looks like.
yeah,
Um,
definitely.
the second part before we go home with this is just your own personal goals. So, in terms of like how your approach to the game, I'm not obviously asking who your agent's on the phone to and those sorts of things, but what sort of
Yeah,
is what does the next phase look like for you? And you hopefully touch wood, you don't put your face in the way of any more fouls and the
yeah.
feet are
Shoot, I'd
feet are
like
all good
that.
and whatnot. Touch wood. But what does that look like? Is still chasing those opportunities there wherever they may take you?
Yeah, me and my partner, we're still in talks with that one. At the moment, he's in Melbourne. He sort of wants to settle down there. I love Perth, so that's a bit of a head clash in that one there. But I think, if the WNBL opportunity comes up or to play, in New Zealand or something like that, I would jump at it. I think maybe the overseas gig at the moment, like, I'm not that keen on.
Yeah.
But it's not like I wouldn't look at it and consider it and things like that. But I think more so just towards like, I guess the end of my career, just really trying to like get the most out of like what I'm doing. So like I want to perform well. I want to be a leader to the next generation. I want to do things like that. Um, because yeah, I'm not sure what God has planned for me. I'm praying I can play for a little bit longer, but who knows with that one there, and yeah, whatever my partner's up to, because he obviously still wants to play as well. So just, I guess, sorting out a way where we don't have to keep doing long distance if
Yeah.
that shoe fits. But obviously that's a sacrifice that you make as a professional basketball player. So it's difficult, but yeah, God gives his biggest trials to his toughest competitors. So I'll take it on the bat. But yeah, I wouldn't say like I wouldn't take the opportunity, but definitely would have to be the right one. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, we come towards the end of our conversation. So I have been saying that the final part of our chats on this season have been a triple threat affair. But in light of recent conversations and whatnot, I've added an extra one. So four quick ones to finish it off there.
Okay.
And I say four quick ones in terms of how I'm going to fire them off, except for this overly wordy intro. But feel free to elaborate as much as
Yeah.
you like for these ones. So. For those watching along, this one's going to be a little bit contradictory, but is there a team maybe from another code or another sport, or is there a team that you follow pretty passionately?
Not gonna lie, not. I wouldn't really say anything like in the professional sort of scheme. Like I do love the Celtics, and I obviously love the Bulls. I'm wearing the t-shirt, so they're my second favorite team. So I do follow them, and them not being in the finals sucks, but it is what it is. But in all honesty, like I think now at this time in life, like I truly just follow my youngest sibling. She plays soccer, so I follow her. She's actually in, I guess, like the NBL1 league for soccer at the moment, and she's only just turned 17. So
Oh
she's
wow!
another, yeah, she's another young gun that's come through. A lot taller than me, unfortunately, but yeah, she got the height. But yeah, I follow her and my nephews. They're now all in basketball. So I think one he just competed at a rep um comp on the weekend. He's 12, I believe. Um, so yeah, he just competed, and they were all just sending me photos in the group chat of all of his bruises, and I was like, yeah, I think I win. I was like, mine's a bit worse, but so yeah, he's doing it, and then the younger two, like they're in it as well. The younger one just made a second rep side, so in the developmental side, but he's bottom age. So they're pretty much, I would say, they're the teams I follow. Like that's like I think everything for me is about family. So yeah, I wouldn't say I really go the professional side of things, but definitely yeah, close to home.
No, I love that answer, and they're pretty good teams to follow, and I'm glad they're all doing so well as well.
Thank you.
Um, in terms of a nickname, do you have a nickname that I know we all go by Bri anyway when we talk to you, but is there a
Yeah.
nickname that sort of sticks, and how did it come about?
Um, it is Bri. That's normally like what it is. But a lot of people call me like Lil Red. And I actually can't even remember how it first came along, but my partner likes to tease me all the time. He's like, "Little Red, just be quiet." I'm like, "Hold up, like no, like this is not for you to say." But yeah, obviously it's definitely my hair, and I'm little, so I'm guessing that's how it come about. But I can't even remember when I was first pulled it. Yeah.
Do you have a preferred number or a favorite number that you like to have, and is there any sort of significance or meaning behind it?
Growing up, I was always number six. And that was just end all be all. Like I was like, no one else is having it. Like, but now I wear 26, and it's because it's my grandma's birthday. She
Oh,
was born on the
nice.
26th of September. Yeah, she passed away quite a few years ago. So I've been wearing it as much as I can since then. Like teams that don't have it, I get whatever number is closest to it. But yeah, 26 is what I like to wear wherever I go.
I love that. That's such a good tribute. That's really nice. The final one is I'd like to give you the floor here to shout out a volunteer. I mentioned this last week on the show that clubs at any level just don't exist without volunteers. So whether
Mm-hmm.
it's a volunteer right now at the Slammers or whether it's a volunteer that's been very instrumental in your career and your pathway, I just want to lay out and give you the floor here to shout them out and why they're so important to you.
Yeah. Um, I mean, I guess it a little bit weird or like funny, but like definitely my mom and my uncle. Like I would not be where I am today without those two. Like my mom would come to the gym and just rebound like over 1,000 shots a day, like just in there. And she was like, like every time I hit a shot, and she's like, yeah, that was because I passed it to you years ago. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. But my uncle Mark, like they were there every day. My uncle actually like a bit of like a backstory, so a bit of a blabber, but he had a heart transplant. So he was not well for majority of his life, unfortunately. But no matter what it was, he was like, nope, I'll be there. Like and we lived across the road, so we would, drive two houses down his driveway, pick him up. We're off to the stadium, and he had so much heart and love, not just for me, but for the sport. That he would be so sick that he would be like his heart would be going crazy, and he didn't want to leave. Like we were like, no, like let's go home, and he's like, nope, just give me a chair, and he would just sit on the chair and still coach me. And I'm like,
Wow.
like we need to go home. Like something's like if you have a heart attack here, like it's gonna be my fault. Like but he came. So I made Queensland every year I tried out. So I think that was what was it, top age 16s to top age 20. So I made it every year into the top team, and he came on every single one of their trips. So every single one, he was there in the grandstands. And I knew when my game wasn't going good, I'd look out the side of my eye, and he'd like just be doing this, and I'm like, I know I need to get height on the ball, but he's definitely my biggest motivator, but definitely was the person to pull me off my pedestal and keep me humble. So I would say those two because they definitely volunteered more time than I can even imagine. But if I was to go with someone like real, like our managers at Slammers are amazing. I can't even fault them. Any begging call, they're like, yep, okay. Like, and it can just be like a band-aid, and they'll be like, no, we'll get it. We're like, no, like we had two legs and a heartbeat, we can go, but no, like their hands on deck, like women's and men's team. Like it's amazing out here. Yeah.
It really is an amazing community, and thank you so much for sharing that. Not only about them, but your mum and your uncle, because that is I think we often talk about on this show that the family don't get as much love, let alone the
Yeah.
volunteers, and those rebounds that don't go on the stat sheet, the ones that happen in the
Yeah.
gym, are definitely the reasons why you're getting rebounds and you're getting shots up now. So thank you so much for your time. I know that we've definitely gone over time, but I didn't
Oh,
realize
that's
we were going
fine.
to do that. But it's been a really, really great chat, really absorbing chat, and I wish you nothing but the best, not only coming up in the immediate future for the Slammers and the rest of the season there in the West, but everything's to come as well. So thanks so much for your time today on Hey
No,
Power
thank you
Radio.
so much. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on here.
That brings us to the ending of this episode of Hey Power Radio. Thank you so much to Bri for her time in what was a great chat. Our delays meant this has dropped just after a valiant near triple-double for Bri. So a trip to Rocco awaits for the Slammers, and I can't wait to see Bri, along with some reinforcement, take on that challenge. Our next episode, the challenge for us, is episode 50. We have a really great guest lined up as a focal part of a green and gold lineup. Is that cryptic enough? I don't know. Stay tuned. But in a season full of WNBL free agent anarchy, or how you say anarchy, player moves, signings, commitments, whatever you want to call them, seeing us amped for the summer of basketball ahead. I mean, Aussies in the WNBA and Opal's home series in China, Commonwealth Games 3x3 campaign, NBL1 finals, a World Cup in Berlin. Oh, wow, we've still got a bit of basketball to go before the WNBL. So it's an exciting time. Thank you to the magnificent listening viewership, to all the content creators out there who gives us the stories, facts, figures, news, content, all the information we can handle throughout this time. So make sure you're following along. It's a great community, and we're so privileged to play just a small part of that with these great chats and great guests. Well, with respect to the stars that we had on the show today and in the past and in the future, when we talk about guests and we talk about stars, it's you, the magnificent listening viewership. You're the real MVPs. Thank you for showing up, showing out, and showing love for Hey Power Radio. If you have the time and would like to, a simple share, as always, a comment, like, or rating on your preferred podcast service helps to keep, me, the boffin, and boffins generally, a gathering of boffins happy. And it does help to expand the reach, which is so vital, as I've touched on before, in terms of getting these stories and great conversations out there. Without that exposure, they can sort of go to the wayside, and we don't want that. Our guests have spent a lot of time and given up a big part of their energy to be part of it. So we want to make sure it gets into as many ears and with our video format, in front of as many eyes as possible, despite the eyesore that my studio and my attire can sometimes be. So if you have enjoyed what you've liked or enjoyed clips of something, please do share it, send it to your mates, and let them know about the great work being done. Not so much from this side of things, but from our athletes and guests in part. Well, that said, that's number 49 down. 50 is next. Thank you for tuning in today. It's Eric McFarlane here, as always, wishing you all the very best. Happy hoops, and we'll see you down the road. Bye, pals.